we wanted to throw out there first to begin. Let me begin with a few questions. Have you experienced stress?
Yes.
Okay, everybody's hand should go up. Do you wish during a stressful time you could find some relief?
Yes.
Yes.
Are you ready for some simple tips and techniques you can use no matter what the circumstances to get rid of worry and stress?
Yes.
Yes.
If you answered yes to these questions, then you're in the right place. Hallelujah. Okay. Today will help you to understand the impact of stress, worry, and grief. Learn ways to cope. Break through some of your stress. For more than 13 years,
Are you stressing now?
our speaker worked in the healthcare industry in information technology. She earned a, help me with that one, psychobiology, yeah, degree from UCLA. I need one of those. And she expertly guides those in grief to regain their happiness. In 2003, our speaker founded and remains active in the Northern California walk and roll to fund research and patient care for spinal muscular
Atrophy.
yeah, that has raised well over $750,000.
My goodness.
Okay, you know we're recruiting. Anyway, okay, when not working, she can be found at Toastmaster clubs, walking along the shoreline and laughing in traffic. I like that. Helping us today to laugh our worries away. Please join me in welcoming from Alameda speaker, compassionate joy coach, and certified laughter yoga leader, Linda. I'm so glad you're here.
I know this is here, I'm going to stand in front of it, if that's okay with you. Imagine that you're on the shore, probably in Hawaii, where the water is nice and warm, and you're looking back at the sand, and just kind of floating in that water, feeling really good. All of a sudden, crash! The wave covers you and you're spinning around and pulled under. You don't know which direction is up. That's kind of like what happens when grief hits. You have no idea what direction is up, down, sideways. And today, would you be interested in getting some tips to know what you can do to get yourself righted from that situation?
Yes.
So, we're going to talk about the challenges, like what grief, loss, and stress are, what the challenges of staying stuck in those emotions are, some tips, what you can do about it, and how you can learn more, because I only have 30 minutes. My life right now is great. I have the opportunity to come and speak at groups like this. I've been traveling around, leading workshops across the country. I've been studying how to overcome adversity for probably, 30 years. I just am passionate about finding the meaning of life and joy and happiness. But it wasn't always this way. Back in 2002, I sat in the doctor's office with my 3-month-old daughter Jessica in my arms, staring at those blank walls, wondering what the doctor was going to say. She was bright-eyed, cheery. I was terrified. And the doctor walked in and said, Jessica's not going to survive to her first birthday. She's going to stop being able to swallow. She won't be able to breathe. Her muscles aren't going to really work. Good luck. What do you do with information like that? Well, what I did, I sat and cried. I was miserable. How was I going to do anything? And then I realized she didn't know what was wrong with her. She didn't know she had a death sentence. And she'd look up at me like, "Hey Mom, I'm hungry. Give me a hug. I need you to change my diaper." And I went on. I made her life as best I could in the new normal that it was. Because I had no choice. Well, I did have a choice. I could have stayed miserable, but that wouldn't have served me or her very well. And I had learned from when I was in high school working at De Anza Community College in the adapted PE department, witnessing these brilliant people who happened to not have use of parts of their body. Some of them were paraplegic and were on competitive tennis teams. Some of them were paraplegic. There was one guy who scaled the face of El Capitan. Knowing that these people could live those kind of lives, I realized I could keep going myself. And she had so much joy. She loved life and was able to survive till she was almost 4. Zooming around in her power chair, going to preschool, bringing joy to everyone that she encountered. Meanwhile, my marriage was not a healthy marriage, and she and I moved out exactly 2 weeks before she died.
Oh,
Let's just say it was not good. The challenges could have been the end. I could have stayed totally miserable, totally stuck. But I remembered what I had learned, and I knew that I had a choice to keep going. And because of that choice, I now am able to help others. I'm now able to work with other bereaved parents. I've helped over 300 bereaved parents over the time since then. I work with other people who are stuck in their grief. And the challenge of being stuck is it impacts every area of your life. You think, oh, I'm just sad. Well, careers can be affected, relationships can be affected, everything. And it's not just death, like the big D, or this other big D, divorce. It can be any kind of relationship. It can be a job loss. All of these kinds of losses, and some of them are hidden. Maybe it's that person who really, really, really wanted to have a child, who wasn't able to. Maybe it is the people whose children are leaving for college, and they're feeling like, what do I do with my life now? There are all different kinds of losses, and I don't know, our society just hasn't been very good about talking about things like that. So I want to invite you as an opportunity to actually talk about some of this, because we don't have that usually in our lives, and it's okay. I also want to preface it that a lot of people will say, oh, well, it's really not that bad, you know, this good thing is happening, but sometimes we actually do need to talk about the hard stuff and how it's affecting us and what's really impacting us. So I'm going to give you a couple minutes to share with each other. And I know we have one guest, but I know the rest of you know each other probably pretty well, but maybe not at this level. So I want to get at least a head nod agreement that what you share is going to be confidential and that we're not going to go out and blab about whatever you're talking about. Do I get that from everybody?
Yes. Ben?
No recordings?
Post it on Facebook.
So you might want to turn the camera off for this part.
Okay.
But what we'll do is go ahead and share, I would say that group maybe divide into two, but the other tables, and just talk about a time where you really had a stress or a challenge, whether it was a death or a divorce or a loss of some sort. And if you were stuck in it, it could be now, it could have been years ago. But what was the impact of that? What were the challenges of that? Or what are the challenges of that? And I want you to break up into groups and talk about that, and then I'll get your attention and bring you back. So go ahead and talk.
It's all Trump's fault.
So what are some of the challenges that you brought up in your groups?
Well, one of us has been through some a tremendous amount of trauma. We all have somewhere. But I'm sitting across from a guy who, in his business, they burned his house down. They blew up his boat, and he still smiled every day. And I can't imagine going through that and the anger I'd have if somebody burnt my house down. Fortunately, you weren't in it the day. But anyway, those are traumas.
Yeah?
But now we know why he's so angry.
It's grouchy. Grouchy is the word.
So what are some of the other challenges that came up?
Well, for me, I shared my brother's passing at age 37. He OD'd, and how it impacted the family, more so my mom.
Like what kind of impact?
Well, my mother kind of, I think, lost hope in life, and she passed away exactly 2 years after he did.
Oh.
So, yeah, that was hard.
And I'm sure that impacted everybody else as well, including you. Are there any other?
I can share mine.
Yeah.
I mean, I know I'm a guest, but I know a couple of people here. But my daughter was diagnosed with breast cancer at the age of 32. And cancer doesn't run in my family. So it was very hard. This whole caregiver, taking care of her and having her go through the treatments. So that's wow. But right now she has to go through every year either mammogram or x-ray to make sure she's in the case.
Yeah, so there's a lot of challenges and a lot of heaviness, and if you don't get support for it, or if you're not able to work through it, it can really impact all areas of your life. And so one of the areas that is very important is to have that support and have community and have connection with other people. And sometimes that connection can be random. You don't know where it's going to come from. I like to have intentional connection, but sometimes the random is kind of nice. When I was in New Zealand traveling a couple years after my daughter died, I walked into this little store, and everywhere there were these tiny rocks painted with kiwi birds. Yeah, that was my expression. Huh? And I thought it was kind of interesting. And the shop was probably a quarter of the size of this room, just this little tiny shop. And I wandered in and asked the shopkeeper, I said, "Is this your art?" And he said, "Yes." And I inquired, "Well, why did you get started, or how did you get started painting rocks?" He said, "Oh, when I was taking care of my 2-year-old, I had enough time to paint a rock." And I laughed and I said, "Oh, I get that." He said, "Oh, is your wee one with you?" And I said, "Yes. I mean, He's here. And he paused, and he looked at me and he said, "My son died when he was 6. We moved here because we had to get away. We were in South Africa and moved to New Zealand because we needed a fresh start." And he reached over and he found a rock that had a mother and baby kiwi on it. And he handed it to me. He said, "Take this and remember her." And it was just a couple-minute interaction, but I still have that rock.
Wow.
And sometimes the little things are what connects us. And sometimes we need to be intentional, which is why I have created community to be able to have conversations about this. And another part of community, I love the story of dolphins. If a dolphin is sick and maybe not getting the air that it needs, the other dolphins will kind of circle around it and nudge it to make sure it gets up to the surface to take a breath. And that's kind of what community is all about. And the other aspect of that is we have to remember to breathe. Now, I know we all breathe, because otherwise we wouldn't be sitting here. But in grief or stress, often, at least I find for me, I breathe about this far down into my lungs. And that doesn't help very much. So I invite you to join me right now and just take a really deep breath. Just take another deep breath. Just fill up your lungs. Just and slowly let it out. And take another deep breath. You're getting ahead of me. So Gloria is leading into my next section. No, it's perfect.
Gloria just passed out.
But when we get the air into our lungs, it calms us down, and it really can center us. And laughter is a fantastic way to do that deep breathing and maybe have some fun with it. Because when we laugh, you're taking in a deep breath, and then you're letting out all the air, and then you take in another deep breath, and you let out all the air. And there's actually a technique called laughter yoga, where you don't have to have comedy or humor, and you get together and you laugh. And I want to share a little bit of that with you today, and just join me in just laughing. For no reason, just.
That's hard. Let it out, Jim. Let it out, Jim.
I have to laugh at you.
Somehow by just being able to laugh relaxes us. And there are all sorts of health benefits to laughter. You can reduce your blood pressure, you can increase, you can decrease your stress, you can just feel better. All of the chemicals in our brains, the endorphins go up, the cortisol, which is the stress hormone, goes down. And just by laughing is wonderful. And as Gloria read in my introduction, I laugh in traffic. If I'm getting really agitated about something, just laugh. If somebody thinks you're going wacko, who cares? Just really enjoy yourself. Exactly. And if you have something stressful in your life, I know we were discussing this earlier, well, how can you possibly laugh when you're grieving? And it's hard. And often you think, well, I'm not allowed to. I'm not supposed to. I can't laugh. How can I possibly laugh? Either I shouldn't, I can't. And I want to let you know it's okay. It really is okay. And I've led groups with bereaved parents where somebody said, well, I'm gonna come, but I'm not gonna laugh. Okay. And 45 minutes later, she said, how did you do that? Oh my gosh, I haven't laughed in 7 years. And I just, I got that total release. So it can be done. It can be fun. And think about something that may be a little bit stressful and just go ahead and laugh about it right now. Like the fact that we have people talking to us for fun.
Dude, pay up,
He can't get it shut off.
And the intent is not to
Take
laugh.
$5, sure.
The intent is not to laugh at, but with. And so just
I love it. Give it to Jake.
Now that's pressure, Jerry. Everybody's looking at you.
there you go.
Spanish bug.
Nothing south of the funhouse.
There you go. So if you feel like you need someone to laugh with, there are opportunities to find other laughter. So before I wrap up, are there any questions? And then I'll close. Anybody have any questions they want to ask? And if I will stay after.
So this has nothing to do with your talk, but what in the heck is psychobiology?
Psychobiology is the study of the brain.
Okay.
And it's studying behavior and so it studies psychology and then how the brain actually is related to.
Just not heard of it before.
Yeah, no, and I've continued to study how the brain works and studied neurolinguistic programming just to understand how the brain operates. It's fascinating to me. So, any other questions? Yeah.
So when you're stuck, right then, you're stuck. I don't mean necessarily long term, but something that really aggravates you is an example. So you get really angry. And so before you do something stupid, everybody else sees it. What are some tips in terms of how do you diffuse your own anger yourself?
That's a great question.
Deep breaths.
Yeah.
Well, it's in black.
A martini.
Deep breaths.
Yeah, but if I'm that pissed, I don't want to breathe. So I mean, it's just, some of the
You
things
have to
psychologically.
push it, you force it.
Well,
Alcohol.
the fact that you are aware that you're angry is a significant awareness, because not everybody is even aware of that. So if you have the ability to be aware of a negative emotion, you have a better chance of being able to deal with it. So that's many steps forward in being able to deal with it. So if you are aware, like we were talking about, breathe. Just take a moment before you open your mouth and just take a deep breath in and really do that. And do that 3 times, 10 times, depending on how many you really need to be aware of what's going on before you say anything. Yeah.
Would you call President Trump?
Jim, the joke is on us.
All we can do is just laugh sometimes. So I hope that helps a little bit.
Try it.
And try that. And if you can,
Or call Jerry.
or
for the laughing.
if you're upset with somebody, perhaps have a gibberish dialogue with them instead of actually using words. So have you heard of just yeah, and usually the response will be laughter, and then if they gibberish back to you, then you're both in laughter, and then you can actually talk about whatever it is in a
I'm
more
gonna try that
calm
with my wife next
manner.
time.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, you get to laugh at
Use at your own risk.
And then that will be funny.
So we've discussed about how stressful life can be and all the different challenges we may have with it. And I want to offer you a gift. I want to let you know that if you happen to be in that state where you're under the water and turning upside down, don't know which end is up, have issues of major emotions that you're not able to work through, I would like to offer you a grief breakthrough session or a stress breakthrough session to really explore what it is that you might be stuck in and what your next step is so that you can move forward in your life and not have that be an issue. So if you're interested, I have some clipboards here. And also, if you're interested in laughter yoga and would like to have that brought to your community or brought to your company, let me know. And remember, this is like that hand reaching out to you when you're in the ocean and pulling you out. So go ahead and take that hand and be able to deal with those emotions and enjoy your life and be the person you're meant to be, doing what you're meant to do.
Thank you.
If
All right.